What's up, funky YouTube? Welcome to episode 12 of my weekly Funk Date. I'm going to talk some Monday motivation. This week's bass player of the week is Chuck Rainey. We're going to take a look at the bass line of Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself by Sly and the Family Stone. We're going to talk about what I've been up to and all things bass and funk. I hope you enjoy it and subscribe below. Let's get funky. This week's Monday motivation is a quote from the writer Stephen King. It says, "The scariest moment is always just before you start. After that, things can only get better." This is a great quote, and it's definitely true. Before you start working on something or working toward a goal, the idea of the work is always going to be scarier or harder than it is if you just start. Reasons for this could be your own personal anxiety, self-doubt, or insecurities, or maybe even how other people will perceive you or your goals. All these things can make a task or a goal seem more difficult to achieve than it is. One of the big reasons things get easier after you start is the experience you gain through working towards your goals. When you just start, you can see everything you need to do to be successful in your achievements and start planning even better through your successes and through your failures to reach your goals. I know everyone learns differently, but I really do believe hands-on experience is the best way to learn everything, whether that be in your career, playing an instrument, or just cooking dinner for your family. Just actively learning, playing your instrument consistently and with a purpose, and trying a lot of different recipes every week, you'll get better at all of those things. But you have to start to even have the opportunity to improve and to achieve those goals. This week's bassist to listen to is Chuck Rainey. He's a bassist from Cleveland, Ohio, with just an endless amount of credits, but he's probably most known for his work with Steely Dan, Aretha Franklin, and Quincy Jones. And I didn't really realize how much Chuck Rainey did and how many different albums he played on until I dug deep into his career this week for this episode. So I learned a lot, and I think you will too about him just through his playing and through the Spotify playlist that I'll link in the description. Chuck played violin, piano, trumpet, and baritone horn until he picked up the rhythm guitar while on active duty in the military. He then switched to bass and started his studio musician career as a bassist. He supported the Beatles with the King Curtis Band on their second U.S. tour in 1965, which I thought was a pretty interesting little note in his career there beside all the studio work. And he's definitely one of the most successful and prolific studio bassists in the history of electric bass. I mentioned Steely Dan, Aretha Franklin, and Quincy Jones, but some of the other work that I really like that he did is with Donald Byrd, George Benson, King Curtis, Roberta Flack, Marvin Gaye, Donny Hathaway, Little Richard, Billy Preston, Bernard Purdie, Minnie Riperton, Lee Ritenour, and Smokey Robinson. There's a bunch more, and they'll all be on the playlist this week. The playlist is huge. It's probably more than 100 tracks that Chuck Rainey played bass on. I'm not going to mention all the tracks by name, but I am going to go through some of my favorite songs. Before you start listening to these, though, I just want to talk about Chuck a little bit. He's just a great bassist with a really great feel. And one of the most unique things he does is he plays a lot of chords in his bass line. This is really creative, and he's one of the few bassists I've seen do this pretty consistently throughout his recordings in a way that really serves the song, and it makes the bass lines really unique when he does that. As I said, I went really deep on this playlist. There's over 100 songs, and it's just a testament to how diverse his playing was and how in demand his playing was in the studio as well. His bass lines are really incredible, so just hit the shuffle play on the Spotify playlist that's linked in the description and sit back and absorb it. Spotify playlist is huge. I said that. This is the third time I've said that now. I'm just going to name some of my favorite songs of his quickly right here, and I'm kind of going in order by artists too, so hopefully you can follow along. Peg by Steely Dan, Kid Charlemagne by Steely Dan, Josie by Steely Dan, Dominoes by Donald Byrd, Blackbird by Donald Byrd, Street Lady by Donald Byrd, Rocksteady by Aretha Franklin, Didn't I Blow Your Mind This Time by Aretha Franklin, Until You Come Back to Me by Aretha Franklin, Reverend Lee by Roberta Flack, Put It Where You Want It by the Crusaders, Sex by Larry Coryell, Morning Sickness by Larry Coryell, I Remember Summer, Gene Harris, Mama's Groove by Richard Groove Holmes, Solon by King Curtis, Magnificent Sanctuary Band by Donny Hathaway, It Ain't What You Do, It's the Way How You Do It by Little Richard, Nookie Sookie by Little Richard, Stick Together by Minnie Riperton, Love Hurts by Minnie Riperton, Dancing and Acting Crazy by Minnie Riperton, Cruisin' by Smokey Robinson, Jealous Love by Bobby Womack, Leave Your Hat On by Etta James, Out on the Street Again by Etta James, Head Start by David Fatman Newman, and Summer in the City by Quincy Jones. These are all on the Spotify playlist, along with a bunch of others. So go check the link in the description out and check out the playlist and let me know what you think in the comments. This week's baseline of the week is Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again by Sly and the Family Stone. This song was released in 1969. It reached number 1 on the soul charts for 5 weeks, and it reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 as well. Rolling Stone ranked this song number 402 of their 500 greatest songs of all time. This is a funky slap bass line played by Larry Graham, and it's a big reason that Larry has influenced so many bass players with the slap bass technique that he invented. It really provides like extra rhythm to the song, and it's just really funky, so you gotta go check it out. I really love the song and the bass line. Both are pretty simple. And I love that Larry keeps the groove throughout the song. There's no extra notes, no fills, or no anything special, and nothing extra. Just holds down the rhythm and created one of the funkiest and most influential bass lines of all time. The song is also on the Spotify playlist with everything else, so check out the link in the description. The cover video I did last week is a song called Boyfriend by Ariana Grande and Social House. I've covered one other Ariana Grande song before called Break Up With Your Girlfriend, I'm Bored. This song is pretty interesting. It starts with a weird old-timey accordion thing going on, and then Ariana's vocal come in for the first verse. I do really like the bass line in this song though. It's got a real good groove to it, and it's really smooth and locks into the drums really well. And it's also got a cool change up in the first verse where the bass line kind of goes along with Ariana's vocals, and it's still holding down the rhythm though, so I think that's just really cool, especially in pop music these days. So I really enjoyed that. Another interesting thing about the song is, because I say this before, when there's features of other artists, the melodies tend to be a lot different from verse to verse, and that is absolutely the truth in this song. The melodies are all over the place and they change almost in every verse, so it was kind of hard to figure out quickly for the video, but I went through it. But there's a lot of flubs and blunders, so mistakes happen, and that's life. The link is in the description. Go check it out. This week's YouTube release, I released a live performance of a song called Funk Rust Bust, and this was live at the Rowdy Dowdy. This is the same show I've been posting a lot of videos from recently. This song is just an upbeat funk slap bass song that was off my very first EP called Funk in Session. So you can only get that at my website, which is www.professorjohnmusic.com. So if you haven't heard it, you can get it there for free. So check it out. This show, again, was just a lot of fun for the book release, and shout out to my boy William Williamson for recording all these videos for me. Even though we're in a close fantasy football game right now to get into the championship, I'm glad you came out and got funky with me and took these videos, so appreciate it. And I'm glad I had these on the hard drive, and I'm glad I kept it around because they should be released, so I don't know why I did it in the past. Check out the performance at the link in the description, and I hope you enjoy it. Video games, I haven't been playing that much. I've been trying to schedule my time better, and that has just gotten video games almost completely out of the equation. But my time has been more efficient. I've been getting a lot of stuff done, working out a little bit more than I have been. So it's been all good. Every once in a while I'll play some NBA 2K and just sit down and play a game, but that's about all I have time for. This week's cover video, I have no idea what I'm doing, so if you have any suggestions, put them in the comments. I'm also going to post another live performance video this week, probably from a different show than Rowdy Dowdy, but I do have one more video from that show, so I might just go ahead and post it. As always, let me know what you want to see. If you want a bass player of the week, if you want a bass line of the week for me to go over, just throw it in the comments and I'll try to get to it. Hope you have a good week. Stay funky. Peace. Hey, this is Professor John. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up below and leave a comment. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're interested in some free music of mine, please check out my website, www.professorjohnmusic.com. Also, I'm active on social media, especially on Twitter and Instagram, so if you want to leave me a message there, I'll be sure to get back to you shortly. Alright, thanks, and stay funky.